All right, we are live, and it's training camp week 1, maybe a little bit more than week 1, but it's time to
One
just
and a
kind
half.
of see what we've seen, talk about what we've seen so far, and things that have stood out to us. And I think it's a good time to reset and really look at a couple players. And we want to start with
There you go.
Jamar Jefferson, the running back, 7th-round pick, a guy that we were really excited about when he was drafted, and then kind of got out there a little bit, but wasn't able to. But then Dan Campbell couldn't help but talk about him. He was asked about him. They're like, "Hey, what do you think about him?" He's like,
Okay.
"Well, I don't want to talk about him because he's like, if I give guys flowers, they end up having a bad game the next game or the next practice. They, but he's like, but he's awesome, and he's like, he's doing great. I love where he's at. And he just couldn't help but say really good things about him. So we'll dive
I'm
more
just too
into that,
excited.
yeah, in just a second. But what do you think about? I mean, I've forgotten about this guy, basically, and I've kind of written him off. Where are you at with Jefferson? And when you hear this, where were you at with it?
Yeah, where I'm at with Jefferson is he would have made the team 2 years ago if he didn't get hurt. And I mean, he did make the team, right? And then he would have made the team last year because I think 2 years ago he's a rookie. And then he would have made the team last year, but same thing. It's like every time he gets his wheels going and he starts showing some excitement and he gets us excited about what he's going to do, he gets hurt.
Yes.
And I just wonder what the reason for that is. I have a couple thoughts and I'll share those later in this video. But when I hear he might make the team, my thought process is, well, then we're going to have to keep 5 running backs.
Oh yeah.
And maybe we do. Maybe
And
we do. Maybe we keep 5 running backs and we keep more linebackers because of the new kickoffs,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. And that's where I'm curious about this. And here's real quick what Dan Campbell said. He's like, I don't want to
Sweet.
answer it because it feels like the same thing. I say something about a guy and it's the kiss of death because the next practice, and then he just stopped and he's like, Jefferson's in a really good place. He's in a really, really good place. And that next practice, he had two touchdowns, including a 50-yard run against the first team defense. And this was this full go practice where they were really like scrimmaging, and he beat star defensive back Brian Branch to the edge before turning it upfield and finding
What?
daylight.
The
It's like
same Jamar Jefferson that could barely run a 4.6? That one?
he
Yeah.
now we've got so now Craig Reynolds. I'm just fully convinced Craig Reynolds doesn't make the team now.
It's just gone. See
Yeah,
ya.
see ya. So what is
He's
this?
been shockingly reliable and healthy. Bye.
Yeah, bye. You're not explosive enough, and we're going to cut you. And so I don't know, but when you see what a dynamic third running back would do, we have two
Yeah.
dynamic running backs. Now a third one is. Where does your mind go when you hear that?
I think where my mind goes is it was supposed to be Sione Vaki, but he wasn't going to be ready this year anyway. So who's going to come up and take the load as the third running back? You know,
Mm.
when last year, don't get me wrong, we all loved Craig Reynolds against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? The block and where he came from, the regular season game when they were wearing the creamsicles, and he runs past St. Brown, makes a block. St. Brown gets a touchdown. Love Craig Reynolds. And then wasn't it against the Bucks again that he was accidentally in on a goal line play and got a touchdown? So like he's a guy that you trust. And so I love trusting him, but here's what I don't trust about Craig Reynolds. And I don't want to make this a Craig Reynolds bash fest because I love me some Craig Reynolds. He has a really good name, don't you think, Chris?
Yeah.
But at the same time, is he the guy that you trust to be your number one running back if another guy's hurt?
Right.
Is he able to be a change of pace back for Montgomery or Gibbs? Like, that's the problem with him. Like, if Jamar Jefferson's showing the ability to have a 50-yard touchdown against our first team defense, Craig Reynolds doesn't have that ability.
No. And
so I do like the upside.
Absolutely. And this is where it starts getting really fun, I think, because we all know of our top line guys, the St. Browns, the Hutchinsons, those blue chippers, and we got to have them, and they've got to be great. Penei Sewell, Sam Laporta. Again, luckily the list goes on and on. But what about those guys that are going to fill out the depth of the team, and really those guys that are going from second year to third, or I think in his case, maybe third to fourth year? Where can they make the jump that we really need to round out the roster and be a full or be a Super Bowl contending team? And you look at the depth chart, he's not even up here. And
Yeah,
so I think
which is
Craig
nuts,
Reynolds,
right?
yeah, and I love what you said. Craig Reynolds, I've been saying this, he's a great story and he
I
helped
love
us when we
Craig.
needed him and he was there when we needed him. Like in that 2021 season and like it's like, man, salute you. Thank you for your service, but if you got an explosive running back that can, it's just another element because again, Dave Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, they give us that. But man, what an awesome you said, I think at the end, maybe didn't, but ceiling. That's what we need. We need the highest ceiling. It's worth taking a chance on a guy versus safe, reliable. It's like, are we going for the Super Bowl? Like we gotta get let's fill this roster with all of it we can do. So
Yep.
that's where
We
I'm
need
at.
to do the right thing.
Yep.
So I pulled up another one. This is our lads. Get ESPN out of here, right? He's still not there. Look at how far you have to go to find him. He's next to Jake Funk. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing. Like, this was our third running back. Oh, like when Campbell took over. This is our third running back. Like,
Unbelievable. Yep.
what are we even talking about right now? So
And no, and I love you pulled that up. You can pull that. Can you pull that back
you want
up
it
one
back?
more time? Is
Good thing I didn't delete it.
you look at Zonovan Knight is somebody that was really strong for us.
Yep.
Basically, you look at this roster, and
So deep.
again, trying not to be homers because it's easy for us to start looking at all the depth and be like, man, Zonovan Knight again. Is he? Do you want him to be your starting running back? No, but you
Nope.
just start looking at Jefferson, Vaki's this guy that we've drafted, Craig Reynolds, solid. This depth is so much more than we've had. And again, you can't get too excited about depth because it's 53-man roster. So you got 11 on offense, 11 on defense. You go too
Yep.
deep. Now you've got that's 44 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 44 guys, a few specialists that leaves a few more guys. So it's really too deep. And so you don't want to get too crazy and talking about depth, but it's so cool to see the team really filled out going into training camp. We're in training camp and then cutting down 90. Not all of them are really good, but what if you cut down like what if 80 are like good? And we're now going to be the team that other teams are poaching. Like who did the Lions cut? Because they're good and they couldn't make the Lions because the Lions are really talented. Let's go get them. That's wow.
Right.
What's
like I look all over this place and we'll talk about it later in another video, right? Like we're going to talk about the depth of the offensive line and we're going to go there. But when you look at this running back room, one of these guys, Reynolds, Knight, and Jefferson are going to get cut. And that guy is going to get picked up by another team.
Yeah.
Like guaranteed. Funk probably will get picked up by another team. Like, here's the thing. We have a 1-2 punch with Gibbs and Montgomery. Most teams, their backup running back room is guys like Craig Reynolds, Zonovan Knight. And like, that's just, and it's third string for us. And you need to have 4 or 5 deep in the running back room. You just do. You just do. But we're not going to carry a fullback this year. So that's where that goes. There's room for 5.
Yeah, it's just really cool. And so this Jefferson thing's wild to me because he's just that 7th round guy you're rooting for, back when we picked him up and he showed some flashes a little bit, but overall been injured. And then forgot he was on the team because it's like, oh, see ya. We've got 2 really good running backs. So it's just cool. It's just cool to see the depth and man, what an awesome thing if we could have an explosive third string running back type of thing. Like, because again, running back, I love the idea of keeping everybody fresh and just who cares if you play, I don't know. It's just not about the volume anymore. It's about, hey, a fresh running backs keeps coming in and out. It's like, let's go. That's awesome.
And if you have a better third running back, it allows you to play Gibbs and Montgomery on the field more at the same time because you can take them both out. I know that's something nobody ever thinks about because, everybody's like, why aren't Gibbs and Montgomery on the field together more? Because playing running back's really tiring. And if you put them on the field together 2 plays in a row, who's playing the third play?
Right.
Like that's just how it gets difficult. So I like where we're at in our running back room. I feel really solid, but I want to change gears here to talk about the offensive line, who they're running behind. Can we